Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ordinary Mystic podcast. This is episode 5, but also a special episode because I got to interview my dear friends, Scott and Kaitlin Elliott, two of my favorite people in the world. We have been friends with them for a long time, but are now separated by several states. But Scott is a pastor now in New Jersey at the church that Kaitlin actually grew up in and who dad was the pastor for a long, long time. And Kaitlin is the host of the So What Else podcast, which just hit its 200th episode. So I will put that in the show notes, but check out So What Else because they do a great job. And you see Scott and a lot of their family and friends on there from time to time. And then Kaitlin also does some interviews with some really, really interesting people. So really, really hope you like this. We talk about faith and the journey that we've all kind of taken from our first days of Christianity, kind of in that evangelical tradition, to now, and what that looks like, you know, as a parent, as a spouse, as just a person trying to make it in everyday life through grief and trial and joy and hope and all of those things. So hope you enjoy, and without further ado, Scott and Kaitlin Elliott. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Ordinary Mystic podcast. I'm Ryan Hernandez, and this is a big day for us because this is our first interview, or my first interview. I don't know who the we would be, but yeah. So I have my friends Scott and Kaitlin Elliott here with us. Hi. Yeah, so
What's
Scott,
up, dude?
What? Say that again.
What's up?
What's up? Oh man, old Budweiser commercials. I was just talking with somebody about that too, but that's a tangent. We'll save it. Kids don't know what that is, so when I was teaching, we used to do that, and they would not know what it is, but it's fine.
That's sad.
That's what makes
I know it is. So many sad things. But anyway, Scott and Kaitlin are dear old friends of my wife and I. I met Scott before he was even married to Kaitlin.
Yeah. We were just dating. Were we?
Yeah, you guys were dating, and Scott used to talk about you a lot, but you would never show up, and so we thought you were fake for a while. We were laying bets on if Kaitlin would ever show up or not, and she did, and obviously, yeah, so she showed up, but it took a while to get you to show up because you were in New York. We're like, dude, that's not.
She's fake.
She is real though, or else this is a really long gag.
Yeah, because you're paying her handsomely.
Amanda.
But anyway, so we met a long time ago in Colorado because that's where Scott and I are originally from. We tried to start churches together a couple of times, unsuccessful.
Right. Yeah.
That depends on what your definition of success is.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what.
We had fun.
We ate a lot of bacon and stayed up way too late.
A lot of breakfast dates.
So many breakfast dates. But yeah, and so I mean, obviously we hung out a lot when we were first like married, engaged, that kind of thing. And then obviously life took us into two different states because you guys moved away first, so we'll blame you. And then we moved, and then I think we saw each other one Christmas. I remember a couple of years ago, and it was literally like it was just like I saw you last week, and then our kids were just playing, and I remember that being fun. I still see those pictures sometimes. But anyways, we're back finally talking again. And I don't want to seem like we never chat because we do text back and forth sometimes, but it's good to see your faces.
It's good to see your face.
Same.
Thank you.
It's like you said, it's one of those good ones where you can just pick right up.
Totally.
That's what I've always felt with you guys as well. Yeah, for sure. Just genuine. You know, like there are some people where you're like, I have to play this character.
Yeah.
When we see them again, like there's this version of myself that I have to kind of put on. And I've just, part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you guys, I've just never felt that way around. Like I can just be me, and I can say, you know, like if I want to say like obscene or sarcastic things, you guys just take that in stride and have no problem with it. Whereas some people would be offended, and Tierney can like slap me or just say that's so embarrassing, and you're like, that's fine. So that's when you know you have true friendship. But so the reason I really wanted to interview you guys first is, you know, this is obviously called The Ordinary Mystic, which is maybe presumptuous of me. But at the same time, right, there's been this kind of like, you guys have been in the religious or spiritual world for a while. I know Scott's a pastor right now full time and has been on and off, and you're working at the church right now as well. So it's prevalent for you guys, and I mean, obviously your dad was one, so it's been in your world for a long time. As with me, because I worked there for a long time, but we all kind of grew up similar, I think, in this like evangelical bubble,
yes,
for lack of a better term. So we all had these kind of like rules and ways that we kind of grew up believing, and I think for all of us, we had maybe not a moment, but definitely a season where, oh man, there's parts about this that they're no longer working for me, and I don't even know why or how to deal with that. And so that's why I kind of created this podcast. Man, I remember being like 21 or 22, right back from like missions in Australia, newly married to Tierney, and like having this like crisis of, oh, everything was fine when I left, and I got back, and everybody else seems to be doing the exact same thing, and there's something different, and I can't put my finger on it. And went through like a decade-long like dark night of the soul, where it was like mid-30s, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if I'm ever gonna recover from this like half doubt, half just like walking in like a gray like fog. You're just only like in a fog, almost like you just don't know. Like I have no idea what direction I'm going in, and it's just kind of like a tailspin. So that happened for me, and I know it doesn't happen the same for everybody else, but I've been listening to your podcast recently, and I know both of you, but Kaitlin, you specifically, have been talking about like this slow. You got a spiritual director. I also have a spiritual director who I love, so I get that.
I love that.
Yeah, mine is an 84-year-old Dominican nun.
I am obsessed with that.
She's amazing. She's like 4'9".
How did you get connected to her?
So I've had her since I lived in Grand Rapids, which has been like 11 or 12 years. So when I was working at a church in Grand Rapids, one of my bosses was like, you should go to spiritual direction, which I had never heard of in my life.
Right.
I mean, this, it's traditionally like a Catholic thing, but you don't have to be Catholic to go to spiritual direction. But they're like, well, they have the Dominican Center here, and you should, like, the nuns give free spiritual direction, or like, you can gift however much money you can afford.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. Yeah. So I just was like signed up, and you just get like assigned. It was just like the next lady up. And so we've been doing spiritual direction now for like 12 years. She got unlucky.
He's like, that's
she knew the short straw, and she was just like, son of a.
Yeah.
But she's a little like 4 foot, maybe 11 Dominican nun who I've like done spiritual direction with for like over a decade.
That's crazy. That's a very close relationship to do that for that long.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, because she knows intimate things, and she's just been along for the whole journey, and so she's always like, I like text her pictures of the kids, and she's like, wow, that's crazy how big they're getting, because we didn't have kids when we first started, so she's seen kind of like all that whole evolution. But that's been
a huge blessing.
It has been. She's
through the whole process.
That's really cool.
And she's so stable. She was like a professor. She has like a doctorate, but she's also just like the wisest old lady you've ever met. And she like looks fantastic because she's only ever been married to God and never had like a single stressor in her life, I don't think. So
I love that. I literally love that.
Yeah, it's all she's the best. Yeah, Mary Kay, Sister Mary Kay, if you're listening, shout out to you in the Dominican Center.
Shout out.
Does she also sell makeup?
What's that?
Does she also sell makeup?
No, surprisingly, no. That's funny though. I never even put that together. She drives a pink Cadillac, and she is. Nothing would be the opposite of Sister Mary Kay than that description right there. That would be awesome, though. She was also just like the top tier.
Yeah.
Mary Kay Cosme. Oh man, I can be like a book character. She like does spiritual direction, and then on the side is just like hustles Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Yeah, that really. We should. Okay. That's a show.
There we go. Write that down. Copyright that.
Yeah, exactly.
I've lost to jump into too deep too quick. We've had this discussion before. What do you? Like, how do you define spiritual direction, or like, what is it for you?
Oh man,
you're trying to describe that. Like
when someone says to you, "Wait, you go to spiritual direction." What is that? How do you say it?
Yeah, I would say that it's that's a great question. I would say it is somebody who you bring your questions, and then she helps you, or they, because it doesn't have to be a she. She asks other questions and you basically are figuring out your own
spirituality through her just like listening and asking. She never really gives you any answers. At least mine never does.
Yeah.
She holds up a mirror. That's what I would say. She does.
Yeah.
She's a mirror holder. She reflects back to me what I'm saying, and will ask questions of what I'm saying, but she never will give me an answer. So I would say spiritual direction is really just like somebody holding up a mirror who has been trained to kind of listen very deeply to you and the heart of God or the spirit or whatever word you want to use there, and is kind of reflecting back to you your like not only your deepest desires but your deepest questions, your deepest thoughts, and then through that you kind of work through it yourself. It's almost kind of like you're doing all of the work. She's just kind of sitting there bouncing things back at you that you may have not hey, did you notice when you said I hear you saying this? I've heard you say this word a ton. And then she'll offer me some resources sometimes or book, but she's also just incredibly wise. So the very little that she does talk, she will say something that's incredibly profound. So I know you asked me for the definition, and now I'm getting off. Don't interview me, Scott, because I will
love this.
I will go with it.
Keep talking.
It's supposed to be about you guys, and now you're interviewing me. But I remember one time having, an issue with I was parenting and kids kind of being in the way of me wanting to just they're constantly just driving me crazy. Yeah. And she said, she's like, obviously I've never had kids, but I heard someone say that kids are not in the way, they are the way. Ugh. So the next time you want to know what the face of God is like, just look down, and one of your kids' faces will be there looking back at you. So,
yikes!
Yeah. So that. So she just drops nuggets like that, and then she'll just go quiet, and she has no problem. What I love about spiritual direction is which is different from counseling and therapy that I've experienced. She has zero issue with silence. There's no awkwardness for her. Yeah. We can spend an hour in silence, and she's like, if you don't have anything, then you don't have anything. If nothing comes to you, if the spirit's not talking to you in that hour, she's not just going to make something up to fill that void, which I absolutely love because I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. So any discomfort, I'm going to throw a joke in there, or I'm going to try and talk. And so she's really taught me a lot about just silence and the amazing kind of partner silence can be.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so not there yet. I struggle with silence.
It's one of the toughest things that I've had to do, but now I love it. So I've gone to a couple silent retreats. Love it.
Torture.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I would have to be hospitalized. I don't know if I could do it.
I think Kaitlin would rather go to prison than.
I love it. Yeah.
I would absolutely rather go to prison.
There's a Jesuit retreat house right up the road from us, and I've done 2 4-day silence where you're just silent. So they ring the gong at the beginning. You can talk at lunch. Then they ring the gong, and you cannot talk until Sunday when they ring the gong again at lunch. And so you go to these things, but you just have to be quiet the whole time. So you can read, you can pray, you can sleep, and you can do whatever you want, but you just have to be silent the whole time. So there's just
thank you when someone hands you something. You're just
there's nobody really handing you anything. There's 25 of us, 30 of us, and we're just all just silent. It's wild.
That's crazy.
That's fantastic.
Anyways,
I'm assuming you turn in your phone. Yeah, sorry, it's not about.
Yeah, well, you don't have to, but I mean, you don't have to turn in your phone because we're all adults.
Right, but you're not supposed to be on your phone.
Right, you're not supposed to have, the idea is to not have any technology, but they also say, this is your time. So if you want to spend 4 days sleeping, do that. Whatever you feel is right for your soul, do it. But I turn off all of my electronics, and I will just, obviously it's a ton of reading for me, because I just love that, and I will just, have, a book and maybe a pen to underline some things, and I just always keep a notebook in case something strikes and I have to write down that note. But anyways, stop interviewing me. I won't let you do it.
Okay. Back to us. Back to me. Yeah.
Well, so I would just love. So let's start here. Is what? Obviously Kaitlin, just because it's more recent for you, but Scott, you feel free to also Like that's like, what is this season of, and you can call, I don't know if you want to call it unraveling, awakening, slowing down. What does it look like for you? I'd love to hear about that. And obviously either of you can answer and talk for as long as you want.
Sure.
Anyway.
Yep, boys.
So obviously, like, I was raised as a pastor's kid since I was 5 years old. So like Christianity is all I know. We were at the church that Scott and I are currently working at right now is the church where I was born. Like the first place I ever went, like when I was born, we were going since I was an infant. My dad became the pastor when I was 5 years old. I went my entire childhood until I graduated college, at which time I moved to Colorado for 4 years. Then we moved back to New Jersey, and Scott was a pastor at a different church for 7 years or 6 years. Then we were like kind of in between for a little bit. We ended up back here at this church, and now we're both on staff there. So it's like, it's like an embarrassing story in that sense. It's like, this is all I know. Like, I went to Christian camp in the summer. I went to mission trips. I did the retreats. I did the things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the Christian millennial person. You know, DC Talk was my favorite band. We didn't listen to secular music. You know what I mean? Like,
you sound exactly like Tierney's upbringing. It's so fun.
Right. So it's like, this is the life that I knew.
Yeah.
It's just that is my life. So I felt like as I became an adult, you know, moving to Colorado and meeting Scott and like, you know, like,
are you talking about your mistakes?
What'd you say?
Oh, I'm just kidding. So you're talking about the mistakes you've made moving to Colorado?
And for the mistakes portion, yeah. You know, meeting Scott and like getting married, and then also my brother died very suddenly when we were married for only a year, and that obviously brings up a lot. You know, he was only 28, and then, you know, we ended up like, you know, then we had some church hurt happen, and then my mom died, you know, and there's just been a lot of things that I wouldn't say that I had a day where I woke up and I was like, what do I believe? I don't think that happened, but I do feel like just over the years of adulthood, there were just so many times where I was like, man, what is going on here? Like, everyone dies around us. You know, one of Scott's very best friends had died when we were engaged. Like, we were just like, everyone just like dies. Or like, you go to a church and you're met with like highly dysfunctional, manipulative people, and you're like, what is this? Like, what is going on here? And so there was just like so many times. And then I would find myself in like Bible study type situations, and everyone around me would like read these like really horrific parts of like the Old Testament, and then everyone would just be like nodding and like, but isn't God good? And I was like sitting there and I was like, isn't God good? I don't get it. Like, I don't think I get it. Like, I think that I've been reading this since I was a fetus, and I still don't get it. And I don't know why everyone else around me gets it. Like, you know what I mean? And I was just like, there's something wrong with me. Like, how many times would I call you after either a Bible study or a life group or whatever, and I would come home and be like, I think everyone's a Christian but me. Like, I think everyone in that room is a Christian but me. Like, I think I'm the one that's not. I guess the Spirit's not there. Like, I don't know, man. And then, you know, having children, and I think about, you know, when I was a child, I prayed the prayer, you know, 1,000 times. And I can tell you for an absolute fact that, like, I asked Jesus to be my Lord and Savior because I was scared of going to hell. Like, that was the entire, like, all I knew is that we're all going to die, and you're either going to live in heaven or you're going to burn forever in hell. And so, like, you better say the prayer. You better mean it. You better include all of the appropriate parts. You're supposed to make sure that you say, you know, I'm a sinner, and I'm supposed to say that, like, I know you died on the cross. I'm supposed to say, I know that you're God's son. And I'm supposed to, and if you didn't do it right, and for a kid like me, who was like very type A, very high anxiety, like very perfectionistic, like that's a nightmare. Then you get into, you know, more high school age, and it's the whole purity culture thing. And it's like, if you have sex before you're married, you will die, you know? And it's not just that.
No,
it's like it's all the intricacies. It's like, I remember like asking my youth pastor, like, okay, so like, obviously we know sex is off limits and like any nakedness, but like making out, like what, like, and just like needing someone to tell me exactly, like, I need to know exactly, like, is something going to kick me out of heaven? Cause I need to know, like, I have to know. And like the anxiety of it and just the rules and the lists and just like, it was just, it wasn't freeing. There was no freedom in my faith. There was no joy in my faith. I got, like I said, I prayed the prayer because I was scared of hell. And then as an adult and having kids and and I was just like, wow, I really, for some crazy reason, even after this stupid journey of faith that I've had, for some reason, still believe in Jesus and believe that he is real and love him. And I just so badly want for my kids to know God and love him and run to him, not because they're scared of a different option, but just because they love him. And just because like they feel like accepted and loved and just all happy, wonderful things. And that they're not just like running from something else or running to him because they're scared and like, so, you know, I just want them to feel like God's awesome. Like, look at these gifts he's given us. Like, look, he's always there for us. Like he's my friend forever and all these things. And then even stepping into children's ministry at this current church that we're at, like, I feel like I talk a lot with my colleagues about like the type of messaging that we want to put out there, like in the lessons and things like that. Like, I don't want to have a heavy sin focus, you know what I mean? And hell and blah, like, let's talk about, you know, like, VBS one year we chose the theme because it was like Jesus is your friend forever, and I was like, that's what I want for the kids to know. Like, Jesus is your friend. He's the best friend you could have. He's there no matter what, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, and you're a sinner and you're horrible and you're terrible, like, because it's just, you know, like, you're such a piece of junk.
And I think there's a pushback to that sometimes, or there could be, of, oh, so you just water it down.
Yes. Totally.
Or you just do the good parts, but you're afraid that you're doing them a disservice if you're not. And it's not that either. It's not, we're afraid to tell them this or, you know, whatever. It's really saying, like you were saying earlier, how do we teach them God's love, right? Who God is, and, you know, and help them understand that and the difficult parts as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, starting there, not starting with, you know, all this destruction that they can't even really comprehend.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, one of the first things my spiritual director said to me, just like not even that many sessions in, like, she was just like, Kaitlin, you've experienced none of the freedom that like Jesus wants to offer you. Like, Jesus is freedom from the law. Like, that's what he is. And that's what he wants for you. And like, you've experienced like almost none of that in your life. And that's a tragedy. Like, that's so sad that like you have known Jesus for forever and yet haven't yet really like experienced like freedom that he can give you. And I was like, yeah, that's so interesting. Such a good point. Yeah. Like, yeah, you know, and I just feel like the way that I received, I'm not saying, because I want to be I'm always like very sensitive to like the fact that like everyone I really genuinely believe like was always just like doing the very best that they could. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like people were teaching in a way that was what they thought was the best. You know what I mean? And different people receive messages different. I have friends that grew up in the exact same culture as me, and they were like, oh, I didn't really feel that scared of hell. Like, I didn't really, you know, and it's like different personalities and backgrounds and childhoods cause you to receive information in a certain way. And I understand that, but the way I received it was very crushing.
Yeah.
I would say.
I think a lot of it was external and a lot of it was internal.
Yeah.
You know, like she just said, she's a type A, she's a 1 on the Enneagram, right? She is like, well, what are the rules? That's really all she's concerned with. What are the rules? and where's your calendar? Like, that's all I want to know. Don't talk to me about others.
And when do I get there?
When is the board meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
do not want to miss my bus.
I think a lot of it is because you're wired that way.
Totally.
But it's been true for all of us. I know, Ryan, you've experienced a lot of this, Tierney, and for me too, where we talk a lot about 80s, 90s church culture, where it was all revelation. Are you willing to die for your faith? Right.
Yes.
Welcome to church. If somebody puts a gun to your head, are you going to say you denied Jesus?
Yeah.
And like, and so there's internal and external, and it's not putting, like you're saying, it's not putting that on any youth leader that was trying their best or was guiding us or whatever. It is putting it on church culture and hopefully a growth in that, but also the internal stuff that each of us has.
Yeah.
That each of us pulls in. And so we talk a lot about this of, you just said it, kind of the awakening in that, of realizing, okay, some of this checks out. We're not saying, hey, this is a lie, we're out of here. But some of it clearly doesn't as well.
Yeah.
And what do you do with that?
Right. Yeah. No, it's funny that you say that, because you're saying a lot of it is internal, a lot of it is external, because I don't know if I might be wired completely. I think I am wired completely different than Kaitlin, from like type A to type, like I'm the exact opposite. Like I need no idea about rules or calendars. That's not I desperately want people to like me.
Yes.
Right. And I always kind of felt like I don't think God likes me that much because I do these bad things.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I'm not gonna get that ticket, or more to like the weight. I had the kind of like the weight and balance of like, I don't know if the good that I do, if I'm a nice person, or
if
I help my parents, or if I'm, like kind, or is going to outweigh the lies or the times I was mean to my brother, or the times I maybe looked at something on the internet I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like basically like Jesus is keeping a scoreboard or a tally, and every time there's just like a tick, and is like, are the ticks going to outweigh each other?
Yeah.
At the end. And I think for me too, there was that. And then as I got older, like the way that, heaven is, it's made a big deal. Like, are you going to go to heaven when you die, or are you going to go to hell? And hell is described as this certain thing, which sounds awful, right? Eternal fire, torment, separation from God, which that's almost too big of a concept that was too big for me to even understand.
Oh, you just brush over that. You're like, whatever.
There's fire. I don't really want to be on fire.
Right. I don't want to be burned alive.
I don't want to live a lake of lava. That sounds awful. With this like character that is like half horse, half man, or has horns, or is going to be something sharp and hot. But then like heaven, and I'd love your take on this too. Like as I got older and I heard that I was going to go to heaven, but then I would read or somebody would tell me about how cool heaven is going to be, but then you read it was just like
singing,
golden streets and mansions, and you had to wear a robe, and there's a lot of singing involved. Like you're going to be singing all the time
all
to
the
God.
Time. Yeah,
and you're like sounds more like hell than maybe the lake of lava.
You're like show tunes. I'm not really.
I don't know. I like Broadway, but like those songs are lame that they're singing.
Like,
to him
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, exactly right. So I was like, I don't know how to justify. Like, that's not even a place I want to go. Like, that doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah.
So how do I? And you can maybe talk about like when did like those kinds of things. And again, I know you said it's not a minute. There's not like I woke up in an hour and I was like, I believed this on February 2nd, and then on February 3rd, my entire like I flipped the switch. Because I talked to Tierney about that too. It's funny that you're talking about like the premarital sex thing, because I remember after being married talking to Tierney about like not even knowing how to talk to the kids that I was talking to when I was a youth.
Yeah.
When I was on staff with Young Life or doing any of the youth work I did. I was like, I don't even know how to talk to kids about it, because I was not shown like a really good way to do it from even a marital perspective. Because I was like, let me get this straight. There's a moment when it's bad, and then there's literally an instant.
Yes.
What you're being taught is there's an instantaneous moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's when you say I do. I don't know if it's when the pastor says, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Like,
or is it when they sign the document? Is it that? Is it when the
But there's a moment where all of a sudden I could not do it with this person.
Yep.
And now if I snuck away to the bathroom in the middle of my dinner, it would be okay. But if we had done it 5 minutes earlier, it would have not been okay.
Yes.
So even just those things, and that's obviously a funny example, but like the heaven talk or like beer or like whatever it was, like I found myself really wrestling with not only what do I think about them, but how I then communicate that to a group of people that they're supposed to be trusting me with their spiritual life. And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I don't even know what to tell you because I've never gone through that. Like I've never gone I don't have a parent or a sibling who's died. I don't have anybody who's been abused.
Right.
I don't know. My parents never got divorced. I don't have A, B, C, or D. So I'm like, that sucks. I don't know how to, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know I had the words or anything as like a 22-year-old kid to be like, don't do it.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't care. Do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah. So I just love, all that to say is, when did you guys kind of notice that start, or was there a time frame where you're like not noticing like when it shifted exactly, but like what were some of those things, or how did you handle some of those like grief of your brother, or are those things that were like tick marks on the, oh man, this was terrible and it also led me to understand something in a different way? I don't know if that question makes sense, but
no, it does. I think should I let you go first? You go first. I've been talking long.
No, you're good. I know some of it for you.
Oh, so you're just going to talk about me? No, that's fine.
You go first.
No, you go.
For me, it started early on. I remember the story I tell is I remember being 8 years old and thinking, this can't be what Jesus meant. It was a night service at church, and and I think that came from some of these things where I realized, we as Christians, you want to look like Jesus. And growing up in the church, there's a lot of people that really don't look like him.
Sure.
Right? And I think that didn't check out for me.
Yeah.
It was like, wait, the whole goal is to be more like him. But these, like, I'm seeing this is not checking out. And it didn't affect me as much. I'm similar to you. I've had, my parents treated me well, great Christian family. I have no complaints. I've been loved and guided. And honestly, my family gave me a great spiritual background. So, where I think started to wake up to it was, for other people, how others were treated. And like I said, I had inklings from even when I was young. I think you probably sense that more as a kid. And it's not till you become an adult that you try to start to process it. Yeah. And I had to go through maybe more of a, when I got into maybe my 20s, like you, I thought, okay, now's my time. I'm going to go do it right. Like, thank goodness they have me. Right. And I had to go through seasons of trying to plant churches and, lead these people or this kid or whatever, and really failing a lot to realize, oh, I don't even have it figured out. So it's not like, oh, you guys all have it wrong, but I'm going to do the right way. It was like, wow, this is a really challenging concept. This is a really challenging thing for us to not only understand, but then live out. Yeah. And so I've wrestled. I think wrestling with it is where I started to wake up to it.
Yeah.
And I'm still, I feel that every day now, especially now that I'm a pastor, I feel it regularly.
Yeah.
Early on in dating, Kaitlin would get upset with me because she'd ask me a question like, well, at what point, like,
or what do you think about X issue? Like in the space, like something controversial. What do you think about this issue?
And I'd be like, well, it could be this, or it could be this. Cause like this verse kind of says this, but this verse says this, or like, this is my experience. And she's like, yeah, but what's the answer? Yeah. I was like, well, it could be kind of like this, or maybe, I've thought this. And she's like, what's the answer? Just tell me the answer.
Like but what's your stance? Like what's your actual stance?
And it's always been a struggle, but, so that's been a bit of mine.
What were you going to say about me?
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for you, a lot of your, I guess we'll call it, waking up to it, came through your struggles.
Oh yeah.
So, her brother passing away was the first big one on the mark, but then, right on the heels of that, we kind of discovered her eating disorder, which, led into intensive counseling and things that opened up more, right? All the stuff. And I think it was in that you started to discover, like even going to counseling for the first time, you know, talking about, like you said, I think a great counselor is similar to what you described, somebody that doesn't sit there and tell you what to do. They listen and hold up a mirror, right? Yeah. And so I feel like that was, would you agree?
Yes, I do agree, in the sense that I do feel like when my brother Joe died was like, so I was like 25, I think I was 25. Yeah, I was 25. So it's like, okay, like I'm an adult. I was living across the country. I'm now married. Okay, my brother died. And so it was like the first time that I was ever like, whoa, like this is true, actual hardship and grief. And like seeing my parents, you know, like absolutely broken was like so jarring, you know, like the whole experience was just so very confusing and jarring. And also, just to give people a little bit of context, I think that it was like further confused by the fact that my brother was like very, very mentally ill and like had a lot of like special needs and very bad depression and very, very crippling OCD and things like that. And so it was very confusing how it was like God let him live this like very tortured existence for like many years, and then he just like died, you know, like in many people their first question was, did he kill himself? Because like that wouldn't have been far-fetched for the situation. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that was very, very just confusing. And I think that also we realized that, you know, like in my town growing up, it was like everyone knew like the Chicolas, like, oh, Tim Chicola's this pastor. Like, you know, at my brother's funeral, there was a line like through the building, out the sidewalk to the parking lot. Like it was like everyone who's anyone came, and it was hours. We stood in line for 4 hours of just people and people and people, because and something that we talked about after was because I think so many people were so freaked out that this family that was so quote unquote good and perfect, and like the pastor family, and like they're so cute, and they do mission trips and they do all the right things and they sing in church and they do that, you know, that this horrible thing happened to them. And I think it freaked people out because they were like, if this could happen to them, this could happen to us. Like what, how, and I think that everybody was just like, what? And so I think that it was the first time that I felt very, very out of control. Hence my eating disorder that I had been dealing with kind of in private for a long time. I couldn't hide it anymore. It was like, it was like you're holding too many things and then you're going to drop the ball on something. And then it just became like, this, I can't like even conceal this anymore. Like this is like, just like, I couldn't go out. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was impacting my life in such a big way that Scott forced me into counseling, which set me on a journey.
Kindly.
Sure. He zipped me into a bag.
About Scott is that he forcefully did something to you. No. For anybody listening, it was not like that.
Exactly. So, you know,
it was out of love.
It started my journey of counseling, which I think has changed my life because it causes you to think critically if you have a good counselor, you know? So I was in counseling in Colorado. We moved back to Jersey. I continued with another one, you know, So I think that it forced me to figure out what it is that I believe about, you know, my brother, and like, do I believe that he's in heaven? Why do I believe that God let him suffer for so long? And instead of healing him on earth, like took him to heaven or whatever you believe. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, it was just this thing of like, oh, like,
but we prayed for him. Why was he?
Right. Exactly. Like everybody prayed for Joe to have healing from his mental illnesses. Like he was depressed. He was deeply, deeply obsessive compulsive. Like it was, he had a really, really, really hard life, you know, and so many people prayed for him. And then he, you know, died in an instant. And then you kind of like, you swing toward this thinking of like, well, like, was that God healing him? Was God, God heard our prayers, and God was like, earth is earth, and he will never have full healing from this on earth, because the earth is filled with problems, and like he is free now in heaven. Is that what it is? But then you get angry, and then you think, but that's stupid. If I really believe that God is God could have snapped his fingers and his brain could have been healed. And so it's like you do all of this, like, I wonder why this, I wonder why that, and it forces you to just like really get in there, and then of course I thought that we had hit our quota of hardship, and then my mom got diagnosed with an incurable brain cancer when I, we had just bought a house around the block from my parents, because I wanted to raise my kids in the same neighborhood as their grandma and grandpa, and like this is the way it's gonna be. And then it was like, diagnosed with this brain cancer, and you're just like, man, okay, like, so what do we, okay, like, and then people say things to you like, God told me in a vision that your mom has been healed. God spoke to me and told me that she's healed. I know that she's healed. And then it's like, well, here we are 2 years later and she's dying. So what was it? Did you mishear God? Did God lie to you? Did, you know what I mean? Like, it is the definition of healing for everybody different. And so it's like it's a semantic situation. Like, what, like what are we talking about here? And then you can become very jaded, and you're like, everyone's just a quack, and everyone's just saying whatever makes them feel good that day. Like they're just saying whatever. And again, you have to dig in and like really try to cancel out the noise of that. Not that it's all noise. Some people say very nice things, but you get my point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
there's
some people do say very helpful things.
Yeah.
But you have to sift through and be like, God, I don't understand this. And it's like, you get to the point of not praying fancy and not praying in a certain way, and just being able to be like, I got nothing to say. I do think you're there. I don't get it. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing it. But for some reason, I do still believe that you're in control of all this.
Yeah.
And I hope this goes the way I want it to go. But if it doesn't, I pray that you would, I don't know, help me to hold my faith anyway. Help me to see you in it. Help me to something, you know, like just help me to feel you here. Do something, you know. I don't even really know if I'm answering any question per se.
Yeah, you're doing it. It's good. I think it's great. No, I think it's great. I think you hit something right there at the end where I think my most frequent prayer for a decade was, I don't know.
Yeah. Yes.
Both publicly and privately, when somebody had asked, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I would sit there for hours and just be like, I don't get it. I don't understand why I felt so confident here. And now I feel so, whatever the opposite is, lack of confidence here. And I don't feel like, I don't know. I would just stutter a lot until I'd come out to, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, that's such a, goodness gracious. There's a lot there.
Yeah. I think one other component in this, like how we got there phase, we were definitely wrestling with some of the theological stuff, like you're saying, or, you know, whether it's coming out of like 90s Christianity or our own stuff, or, you know, we were struggling with some of those questions already. Like, how does this work? And then there was a string of deaths, you know, there was, you know, Sago, for everybody else, he was a buddy of ours that, you know, he got cancer at 24 and died and left behind his wife and kid that he never got to meet. Right. And then her brother, and then her mom, and, you know, various other friends. And in those times, I think our faith was, I almost want to say shattered, but we didn't actually, I don't think either of us really hit a point where we were like, oh, there is no God.
Right? Yeah.
And even like, oh, God's bitter or mad or whatever, there was definitely wrestling and angriness and questions, but there was, like you said, there was always just like, I'm not wrestling with doubt of, is there a God? But, questions started to really get intense, right? Every theological question, right? Like, well, are they in heaven right now? Are they looking at us right now? Do they see us? Are they aware of us? Can we be aware of them? Are they like, is it, soul sleep? Is it like, how does this work? And then that went on to every other theological
on some rabbit holes.
And so, our faith was really, you have to start to wrestle with questions. And it wasn't just death. I mean, it started to be all of those, like you said, prayer, well, and I think that's one of the things that shook people. And then we're having discussions on this where they're going, this family, all of New Jersey was praying for her mother. Like people like prayer groups in Guatemala, like everyone everywhere. And this still happened. Does prayer work? Why do we pray? Right. And so we went through, we were already kind of stepping into this. And then this string of just life really pushed us into, okay, we have to wrestle with this along with other people that are all wanting to know answers as well. And we don't have them. We don't have those answers. So I think on the front end of like, how did we get here? That was a lot, there's a lot of components that drove it.
Something that someone said to me. Oh, Scott's having a coughing attack right now. Are you okay?
Breathe it in
all night long. Sorry.
Oh, good. Something that someone said to me. It was like a few days before my mom died, and like we knew she was gonna die. And people came over to the house and were praying with us. And help me if I botch this. Someone said, like, if you are feeling angry and bewildered and questioning toward God right now, that's not a bad thing. That's a really wonderful thing, because that means that your faith is so big that you do believe that he's powerful enough to change this situation, and you're just begging him to change it. And like, you believe that he could, And I was like, I mean, I guess that's true. Like, I do believe, like, I literally sat there and was like, I literally do believe that like God could, with a snap of a finger right now, like heal my mom and she could get up. I actually think that I really do believe that.
Yeah.
And so it's like this very interesting thing. And then another thing that you end up wrestling with is that people say, God is good. God's good no matter what. He's good all the time. Like, that is his character, And then you're like, okay, so what do you do with when things feel bad, when bad things happen? If God is good and he controls everything, so there's just like a lot of that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So all that to say, it was kind of every angle.
Yeah.
Every angle.
A full onslaught.
Yeah. And so I think that, to bring it around, like, so then you have all those questions. My first few sessions with like a spiritual director was me throwing up all of that. Like, I wonder about this. Like, what's the point of prayer? There's a lot of stuff in the Old Testament I don't really know about. I don't get it. Like the whole hell thing, then it's like, like, what about this? What about that? Like, does prayer work? Is God good? What does it good mean? And I just like was throwing all of this up onto her. And in like her spiritual director way, like she was like, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, Kaitlin, like that's, like, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, that's a lot. Like between things that you've been through and your personality and growing up during, 90s Christianity and all of the rules and all of the things, like, you have found yourself like a slave to this faith, not free in this faith, but a slave in it, And so that's why I think that she's really stripped away all of the other stuff and like started with just lament practices. Like, she was like, we're going to start with just lamenting and like talking about all the things that suck, like, and that are horrific, and like, we're going to start there. And then it's like slowly from there, like doing very, very simple type of practices. Like we sit in silence and kind of do like a meditative thing, doing like the welcoming prayer, or I talk a lot about the John Eldridge, like pause app, like how it's just very like meditative, where it's just like God, like essentially it's a lot of with my spiritual director, a lot of like, God, we don't understand so many things, and like we are confused by so many things, but ultimately we still believe that like you're there and you're good, and would you just meet us here?
Yeah.
Would you just meet us here in this space, in however you want to, you know, like, and learning to be okay with that, the simplicity of that, I think is like transformative for me, because I grew up feeling like you need to like sit down and read a certain thing and have a takeaway. Yeah. And then you need to learn a thing, and then you need to have a takeaway, and then you need to memorize a thing, and then you need to see this change. And it always is like input, output, like this, you do this and you get this, and you do this and you get this. And it's like, your faith is not transactional, actually. Like it can be as simple as sitting in silence and saying, God, I don't know exactly. Like, you obviously know what's going on in my head. I am spinning and spiraling. Would you just, what do they say in the pause app? Heal my union with you. You know, like, so like simple things like that have been very healing for me and transformative for me, that it can be simple, that like spirituality and things can be slow. Like I said in that episode, you know, slow and simple. I don't know. Am I rambling? I'm rambling.
No, I love it. I was with my spiritual director. Well, kind of a different one, but not my nun.
You were cheating?
No, I wasn't cheating, but I want to name drop, but I'm not going to name drop. So I was sitting with a different individual who has also been a mentor to me, and I won't name drop. What's that?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. But is a prevalent name in the Christian world. Anyway, he just said to me, "Oh, because I was reeling, kind of like just a laundry list of like, I don't know how to get past this thing." And he's like, "Oh, that's because you are living in your brain, and your brain can't hold opposing things at the same time. It can't hold it, but your heart can. So if you sync from here to here, you'll notice that your heart can hold unbelievable grief and unbelievable joy at the same time, and it has no problem doing that. It's your head that can't hold those things." So he's like, if you would go inside and, you know, just kind of start to take care of this, you'll start to notice that you can kind of sit with those things simultaneously and be okay, because you're not okay with not basically A plus B not equaling C up here.
Yeah.
And that was a huge moment for me, because I always wanted, faith to me was, you do but you read your Bible, you pray, right? And then you get this result, which is you're supposed to feel this deep connection, or you're supposed to have this, like, you're supposed to become this powerful voice that people listen to, and the droves come, you know, being in ministry, like you save a bunch of people for Christ, or whatever that is. There's this equation that if I do all of these right things, I'm supposed to get, if it's eternal life, if it's, you know, power and authority in the church, if it's whatever that is. And I remember doing those things, and those outcomes not happening for me.
Yes.
And being like,
Yeah, like, well, confused.
You're supposed to show up. I was told that if I did this, God, you would show up here. If I did these things, you would show up at this instant and be this person, or give me this feeling, or this sense of whatever it was. I don't know if it's a wife, if it's a career, you know, if it's a lot of money, if it's an easier go of it. And those things weren't happening.
Yeah.
No matter what I did. And I felt like I was like, I'm doing the equation. I'm plugging it in. And for him to be like, yeah, you think you want those things, but actually what you want is wonder. You want to wake up and have a sense that this is my life, and I can't believe I get to live it.
Yeah.
You're trying to find it up here, and it's in the ordinary. The sacred happens in the 99% of your life that's taking out the trash, mowing the grass, putting your daughter's shoes on. And so when I heard that, I had to go back and like sit with it. But that transition of, you don't have to plug in that equation anymore. You just have to look for it in your everyday. It comes at you as your life instead of you trying to chase it down the road. So it's like, okay, I'm going to hold things a little looser, but I'm also going to try and find the sacred in the ordinary. And then all of a sudden I was like, interesting how, and I'm still terrible at it because there's still these times where I'm just like, if it was 1% easier, or I don't understand why you let God, that person be healthy. The entire state of New Jersey is praying for this person. This person, nobody's praying for. They're healthy. This person is dead. What does that mean? There's, how do I hold that? And I can't hold that up here without just wanting to bang my head against a wall or just be like, this whole thing is nonsense. Like the whole thing it's nonsense. Yeah. I can't grasp it. So I have to hold it down here somehow, and also then try to find like God staring at me in the trash can, or in my daughter's face, or in my, just like the sun hitting the grass. I mean, that sounds so like new agey cliche, which I'm trying to stay away from. But like, man, I had to really try to find that, because if I was going to go insane if I was trying to chase that like camp high or the camp low. Either way, I mean, like you want to feel like complete dog, or you want to be like, it's both ways. It's not just like spiritual high. There's a spiritual low that you almost get addicted to.
Totally.
Of like, man, I felt like crap for so long that people keep kind of like making me feel good about feeling bad.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if you guys have experienced kind of that sacred in the ordinary.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. When I got to that place, and I know you've talked about it a little bit too, it changed the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it almost like there was no more game.
Yes.
There's no more game. It's just this thing. I don't even know what you would call it. You're in this, it's just a river, and you decide to step into it, and you can step out of it and be an asshole if you want, or you can like step into it, and there's nothing. I don't have to listen to DC Talk albums, or I don't have to read my Bible, or I don't have to go to church this number of Sundays. That's not what it's. Those are great things.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't know about worship music, but we could have a whole podcast on that. But yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely.
The sacred things, those ordinary things where it's like, I used to have this list of like, these are the sacred things that earn me points, or if there is grief and I do this to supplant that grief, then God's going to give me a couple more ticks. Like, I overcame that grief. I was above it, or I healed from it, or whatever those words are. I got to this place where it's like, oh, you don't have to do that.
Absolutely. I love that. The ordinary thing has been like, that's been the journey I feel like I've been on this year, is just like the slowing down and seeing God, like you said, in your kid running through a sprinkler, and like, this God is here. It doesn't always have to be this big thing, you know what I mean? Or this epiphany when reading the Bible, and some kind of like whatever. I mean, just tonight, one of my daughters had soccer practice, and Scott, being Scott, is out there coaching, and so I had the other two, and usually I'm just like, ugh, everybody just like, can we just get through this? Like, can you just like stop? And then I was like, I guess, what do I need to sit in this chair for? Like, let's go for a walk. I was like, all right, let's go walk down this field. And we were just like going on a little adventure, through the field. And it was like, my girls were holding hands, and we were just kind of walking. And my oldest was like, wow, this is so pretty. And I was like, isn't it so pretty? I was like, it's cool, like, that God lets us experience this, And she was like, I just love all the beautiful nature. And she's like, and I just like love that God gave me my whole family, I just love that. And I was like, yeah, like, and you're just like,
and that's better than any quiet time you've ever had in your life.
Totally.
Right? Like, it's the best quiet time you've ever had.
Totally.
And that is just like supplants it. And you're like,
yes,
seeing how this works.
Totally. Like, it's just like, I wasn't like that as a kid, like just walking around and feeling like, wow, like, this is a gift from God. Like, this is so, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was walking around at 8 years old, like, am I supposed to say this thing? And did I not say the right thing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, to see my child be able to just be like, yeah, like, God has given us so many great things, or even when, my oldest daughter, Jace, was 6 when my mom died. And I had to tell her, she was very close with my mom, like very close with my mom. And I remember the moment that I told her, I said, honey, you know how Nani's had cancer. So actually this week, Nani's probably going to go to heaven this week. And she immediately started crying. And then she said, I'm just so sad. She was like, I know that I'll see her again, but I feel sad because I'll miss her here. But I know that I will see her again. And I just thought, like, gosh, like Faith, like a child. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, she's just like able at 6 years old to be like, I'm going to miss her here on earth. Of course I am. But at least I know that I'll see her again, and like for her to be able to hold those two opposing things so seamlessly, like in one breath, and just, I didn't even really know like how she even got that language. Like, and I know I'll see her again. Like, I was kind of like, did we say that? Like, you know what I mean? Like I it was just kind of like, it just came out of her. Like, and it's just such a good reminder of like, we're certainly not going to have all the answers here. I really love what you were saying before about like our brains can't compute.
Yeah.
And it, honestly, like that makes sense, because if faith truly is, if God and spirituality and everything truly is this otherworldly, doesn't make sense, operates outside of the laws of planet Earth thing, then it's not going to fit into your brain, because it doesn't make sense, because there's nothing that you can compare it to, and there's no actual proof in front of you, and there's none of that, or else it wouldn't be faith.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I mean? So you're like, the point is that it doesn't make sense. That's like kind of what the point of it is.
Yeah. And I think, for our kids, she's going to be sitting on a podcast in 30 years.
Sure.
Or whatever it is, hologram in 30 years.
Right.
And
rain waves back and forth.
Yeah, exactly.
Happening.
And it will be a new set of problems, right?
Sure,
it's not like we have arrived either, but hopefully maybe
talking about how bad we screwed them up.
Exactly. We were too something.
Yeah. And
we're perfect. It's fine.
We are. That's true.
And that's part of the process. I think going to what you're saying, kind of both of you, I think you've been using the term ordinary. She uses slow.
We're just a couple of ordinary slow people.
I think I like ordinary a little bit better.
I'm like slow.
No, slow is great. Stop it.
Keep it slow.
No, it's all saying some of the similar things. And what's fun about this is like, people get this inherently. Non-Christians get this, right? Like, wait, like the beauty is in the small moments. Like that's where we get the phrases, stop and smell the roses or whatever. It's like, we know this. People get that. And we get so caught up. Life takes us down a road of achievement, right? Because Christianity takes us there, but also work every day teaches us achievement, and school, and even
just the Western world is set up that way, right?
Yeah. And it's like you finally hit these moments where you stop and go, oh yeah, I'm trying to earn money so that I can buy the wallet to hold my money. Maybe I don't need to do the work then, I'm trying to earn this to spend time with my kids, but then I'm not spending time with my kids. Right. And this is something you say a lot, Ryan, of, it's waking up to it.
Yeah. You're like, what do I say? Yeah.
The fact that you have to be nervous, I love that. No, right? It's waking up to it. It's realizing that God's love was there all along. It's realizing that, the kids aren't in the way; they are the way, right? It's, however, Mary Kay says it. So I love that, and trying to do that over and over again. And even, sometimes that's in good ways. For Kaitlin, some of it with her spiritual director has been lamenting, sitting in the sadness and the grief. And like, that is, in a weird way, the same thing of not just trying to blow through your grief and feel better, but like sitting in it.
Go all the way into it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why the laments exist, right? Like I heard, I can't remember who told me this, but it's like, maybe it was Peter Rollins. He was like, the laments exist because if you didn't lament, then you would actually do something bad. It's like, that's why they stay. That's why the laments exist. When they're like lamenting, like, oh, I wish you were babies would smash their heads on the rocks. We don't actually want to smash people. Yeah. But we have to get it out. Otherwise, we will go do those things.
Yes, that's so good.
I can get it out to my partner or just on a piece of paper, then I don't go do those things. But if I keep them locked out, then I am going to go smash somebody's.
Yes.
And, that's why people do that, is they can't get it out. That's why the people who get it out, that's why you don't see people who have a healthy get it out filter.
Totally.
They're not the people going out doing crazy things.
Totally.
So, right? That's why the laments exist, though. It's that people think like, oh man, well, look at how bad these people were thinking at the time. It's like, but we've all thought that.
Of course.
We all wanted somebody that we know to be deeply, deeply hurt physically. We've all wished it upon them. And anybody who says they haven't is a lie. Yes, you have. So I think that's funny that idea of lament. People get so scared of it. They're like, "Oh, that's a biblical thing."
Yeah,
that's an Old Testament thing. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, we all do it. You're just afraid to admit that you do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Slow down long enough to do it.
Yeah.
Or even acknowledge that you have somebody that you hate, or that you want something bad to happen. We're so scared of that dark shadow side of ourselves that it's like. We all have it. It's funny that we're so scared, and yet every single person has that side of I love my children, and also I love my spouse, but also there are days when I wish I would divorce. I could divorce them on the spot, right? Like
absolutely.
We all have those thoughts. It's just like
absolutely.
That person would get hit by a bus. It's not like it, I don't want them to die, but just injured.
Caitlin's saying amen a little too hard right now.
I always say my go-to line when the kids are pushing me to the end. I'm like, oh, I'm questioning all of my life's decisions. I'm questioning every decision. Yeah,
I'm going to safe surrender them at a firehouse.
Yeah, literally. I say that all the time. I'm like, and I'm stopping at the firehouse. Firehouse.
Okay, well, I don't know. I want to be respectful of your guys' time. It's been an hour. I have a couple more questions, but if you have to go, that's fine too.
Fire away.
Do you have time?
I have all the time in the world. We can go till midnight. I have nothing to do. So I would love, this is kind of a two-parter, about what kind of beliefs or assumptions have you felt like you've had to kind of let go of, what do you miss about kind of your old way of doing things? Because I'll talk to Tyranny a lot of man, sometimes it would be so much easier to go back to the old way, because there was that A plus B equals C, and I could just sit in that I read my Bible today, I did my quiet time, right? We all prayed at dinner, and now we're all going to go to heaven, and it's a good day.
Great.
Or my kid hit my kid, so I spanked her, I sent her to a room, and I spared the rod, I spoiled the child.
Yeah.
And so I did the Lord's work today. Yeah. And so I'd love to hear what are you guys kind of beliefs or assumptions that have kind of fallen off, and what if anything do you miss about the old way of doing it?
For me,
and what do you not miss?
For me, a big one is the rules and the checklists and things like that, and specifically, like I mentioned before, the whole praying the prayer thing.
Yeah,
I don't know when exactly, but I remember kind of slowly, again, as this whole thing has been, just slowly kind of being gosh, I don't know that you have to pray a specific prayer in a specific moment and have an experience of conversion to know who Jesus is. I think that there may be people
that'll preach.
There may be people that have had, not there may be, there are people out there that can cite a moment of I felt this way, I learned this, and I felt this in a moment, and my life was changed, and that's wonderful. But I think for the vast majority of people, to use your words, you slowly wake up to Jesus, or whatever, you know what I mean? You slowly wake up to your beliefs in that Jesus died for you and he's here with you, whatever specifically, you know what I'm saying? But it's it's an awakening of a slow kind of realization and waking up to the different aspects of it and thing, whatever. And so it's that's something that I think has been weird for me though, because like to go with your second part, what do I miss about it? So like, I, as a child, had like a date written in my Bible that I like got saved. And so then it's like Scott and I, you know, we have 3 children, and it's like, so am I supposed to be like, I said to Scott recently, like, I don't really believe in like that everyone needs to have this moment where you like pray this certain prayer that follows this certain script in order to like secure your spot in heaven. But like, it makes me feel a little jumpy to like not do that with our kids, because like, God forbid we're wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, what if you do have to pray the magical word? Like,
I don't believe that you have to do this, but you 3 will do it.
Yeah, but like, you're gonna do it just in case.
I don't think you have to, but you're gonna do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm like, I actually don't believe this, but just in case, just say this thing. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, that's something like, there was something about that growing up where it was like, all you have to do is say these words and you are good. And like, for my kind of personality, it's like, okay, they told me I'm good, I'm good. And so it's like, now here I am parenting these 3 children, and I want them to love Jesus, and I want them to know about him and all the things. But like, I'm trying to keep it from being like this rigid, you have to do A and B and C, and you have to sit down. So it's like, it makes me feel a little itchy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What about you?
No doubt.
Well, I think on that, like, there is it's kind of nice to just be able to follow what you were told as a kid, or just do what you saw, you know, like, okay, well, I prayed the prayer at Taco Bell.
No effort on my part.
Yeah.
Right.
My sister's
got a workbook. I'm good.
Right. No need to, you know, fix something that ain't broken. Just go. Like, just copy, paste, go.
Thank God I got born as a Christian.
Right.
Good.
Exactly.
I'm so happy I didn't get,
Yes.
Yeah. And that, you know, that is, and even with that, not, I don't know, a different expression right now, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like, it's realizing that, like everything we were taught was still valuable and helpful and even good, you know, and processing through that and you know, realizing the value of it. But, you know, where that's hard is then you're wrestling through it. Right. Well, what is good? And it's almost every day, right? Well, okay, now this concept, I'm going to revisit this. And it's this daily wrestling versus just, you know, just textbook going through the motions, you know? So yeah, I think sometimes
put some main power behind it and like life, instead of just being like, meh, it's the thing I did. I checked it off my list. It's the thing I do over here.
Yeah.
And then I have the rest of my life. Whereas now, like, how do I integrate this into every part of how does this become my life?
Yeah.
I heard it like Jesus came in his full humanity to lead us into our full humanity, which has really helped me be like, okay, this is just a life. It's just a life that I lead. This is a life. And there's Christ, who I love. I'm obsessed with Jesus and the things that he said. I find him and his ideas incredibly fascinating. And even if there was no, let's just say we take the heaven and hell aspects out of it, or the sin aspects out of it, which we won't do. But do I think that living with forgiveness is a better way to live?
Right.
Yeah. Do I think that living generously is a better way to live? Yeah. Do I think living at peace with my neighbor is a better way? Yeah. So it's like, okay, there's this Christ who says, there's this Jesus who says to do these things and follow me as I do these things. And everything he says seems to be the better way to do it, regardless if you even like believe in like the doctrines of Christianity. I mean, even if you're a Buddhist, you can get behind, or a Muslim or an atheist. I mean, you can get behind being generous to your neighbor, or living with forgiveness, or insert thing here. Anything that Jesus did or said here, you're like, oh yeah. Yeah. Like, oh, I've never been to church, but I really like how he like stepped on the boot of power and helped the person who didn't have any help. Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting. Fascinating how that works. Yeah, so this is just a life that I can lead like that, or I can do like that. And it doesn't have to be, I have to go get a doctorate, or I have to be at church every day, or I have to be this family. So I think that's well said there, Scotty boy.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, last question.
Yeah.
If you this is where we're going to end all of the interviews, so you will get to hear everybody else's answers to this question. This is the question that I'm going to give to every single person. So you're the first ones to get it. If you can sit across from your younger self or someone listening who feels like they're going through the same thing you were going through, what would you say?
Man, that's a good question.
Oh, I'm stressed. You go first.
I love that you do that.
Yeah, that's good.
So you're going to ask everyone this.
Yeah, that's going to be the quality. Yeah, this is going to be the one that closes it out.
Good.
If you had to sit across from your younger self, what would you say?
Okay. Sorry to interview you. Can I ask you a question?
Oh my gosh.
No, this is not your.
That be the question.
You can ask me a question on your podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
What makes that be the question that you want to ask everybody?
So, you son of a gun. Yeah, because the whole. Do you want the long-winded answer or the short-winded answer?
It's your pod.
Whatever you want.
So the short answer is, I've come to the point in my life at almost 40 that, for a long time, I think I wanted to do this work so that I would feel important. That would be this, voice in maybe Christianity or just, generic, I wanted to be thought of as smart, intelligent, somebody that somebody came to for advice. And then over the last year or so, I've gotten to this place of, why do I keep wanting to there's been this kind of work has had zero lucrative aspects to it for me at all. So why do I keep chasing it? Why don't I just go get an office job, or why do I keep orienting my life to almost make my life more difficult so that I can kind of continue to pursue these things? And it's because I asked that question because I wish I would have had this when I was 21 years old. Going through this, I wish I would have had, 30, 40-year-olds who have gone through it to mentor me through this process of what does it look like to not follow this script anymore? I don't know. I know that I don't feel it.
Yeah.
And I have nobody in my realm showing me. The only voices that I have are reaffirming the things that I know I can no longer do. I have tasted something, I've seen something, and I can't unsee and I can't untaste it. But I don't know how to move forward, but I know I can't go back. So I want voices that help me move forward. And that's what I hope this community starts to build is, oh man, I'm 21, I'm 22, or I'm 65, and I'm finally at this point where the things I've always thought about are no longer working. Is there a community out there that can help me move forward? Because until I got to, even Mars Hill and started reading, being introduced to some of these people, I had never heard of some of these concepts. I remember the first time I heard Jesus was Jewish.
Right.
I was like, I'd always known that, but he was actually Jewish.
Yeah,
he wasn't
legitimately, yes.
He was legitimately Jewish, so he did none of the Christian things that we do.
Yeah.
The way that church and Christianity and the Bible, he did none of those things, not one time. So when I started to read about those things, it brought the Bible from black and white to color. Or you guys know these names, but when you start to read people like Richard Rohr or Thomas Merton or Henry Nouwen, and you start to talk about when Nouwen writes about grief, or Merton writes about contemplation, or Rohr writes about the second half of life, and you're like, I have never, it was always just fire insurance. I have to do A and B, and then I will go to heaven, and I will have my mansion. And by the way, all of my family's going to be there, but what ages are we going to be?
Yeah, sure.
Are we all old? Are we all young? Is it a mix? So just man, I just wish I had somebody helping me along that road. So hopefully this can be of help to somebody. And if not, it's still just a bunch of fun to make, and get to talk with two of my oldest and dearest friends, and that's all it is. That's all it is. But
that's why we love this format of podcasting. It's sometimes just an excuse to, it might be awkward to call and be like, hey, can we talk about your faith journey and why
for an hour?
For an hour or two. But if you call it a podcast,
then
suddenly
it's
normal.
We can do it on Tuesday. Yeah. Days. Yeah. No, that's a great point. And that's too the podcast part of it. Because I mean, you guys know this too, but I have a book that's going to come out along these same lines.
Woohoo!
And I have like a Substack, all that kind of stuff, Instagram, you can look at all that. But like, I love podcasts. Like, I don't listen to music anymore. I listen to podcasts. So like, I would much rather listen to like, So What Else, right? On my drive home than I would listen to any sort of album or anything, because it just like, those are the conversation is what gets me like, that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I was like, oh, those pieces sound so good. I want to pull more of that out and like, let's talk about it. Because I just feel like there's a desperate need to talk about it.
Yeah. And then hopefully more and more people do that in their realms and, whatever that is. But sorry, back to your question, because I love the question, because I think it makes you think about what you value, and also kind of brings some of that like then and now out of it. So
appreciate that.
Do you want to go?
No, go ahead.
Oh.
I love that there's two of you too, because this could be twice as long. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
I love long podcasts. I don't know if you guys listen to like Pete Holmes.
Oh yeah.
What is it? You made it weird. They're like 2 or 3 hours, and I am there for that.
Totally.
Like I am there for the long.
Yeah, I have no issue with a long podcast.
Like I'll listen to a 3-hour interview with a comedian, and I'm like, I want you to talk for another 3 hours.
Yeah.
So
yes.
And if they don't like it, then they can just push.
I actually prefer longer. Like, I don't like it when they're like, when you can tell someone's rushing through an interview to hit a time frame. I'm like, what are you rushing? Like, it's a podcast. There's no like.
Right, you don't have to be
there's no
short.
rules. Like, just
talk
talk
to
them. Talk to them for like when they're like, "I'm so sorry, we're out of time," and I'm like, "You're not out of time."
It's like, wait, you knew you were coming on a podcast.
Yeah, like
it's buy the extended Zoom account. So you can
exactly. Get the Zoom Unlimited. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, 100. I have never felt more identified with than I do right now, because I love a long interview.
Anyway. I would say to myself something along the lines of, I don't even know how to say this, but basically like you can unclench your fists, like you can unclench your jaw. Like you don't have to be in a state of anxiety about your faith. Like you can be in a state of anxiety about like the world or something. Like that's valid. But like, you know what I mean? Like your faith shouldn't be the source of your anxiety. It should be the source of your freedom in your life. You know what I mean? And I think for so long, my faith like made me anxious instead of being a safe place where it's like, you could go to God for anything, like he's there no matter what. Like he understands. You can rage at him. You can lament. You can whatever. There's not a formula. The Bible doesn't tell you have to preach the acts. You know what I mean? Like quiet time was a man concept. You know what I mean? Like all these rules, Yeah.
Yeah. Acts wasn't written when Jesus was around, just so you guys know.
Right.
He didn't read it.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. I didn't expect you to say it that way, but I think that's really spot on, and it's
good luck following that up, Scott.
What's that?
Good luck following that up.
Yeah. Dude, literally my answer is like, I don't know. Which I heard somebody, smart man recently say that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't necessarily have what I would say, but I think what resonated with me was what you said. I kind of always felt like, okay, this journey for me has to culminate in being a speaker, that people look at and go, oh, okay, to quote this person, and I'm not that I needed that, but it was kind of like, well, if I'm going to be of any value, then I have to culminate these works and this, following or, whatever. And I think there's an extent to like you're doing with this podcast. Like I do want to talk about these things and share things that help people. But maybe it's Christian celebrity, maybe it's the mega churches or the big, all those things that come, with it of, you don't have to be anything. Like, it can be you and your friends talking on a podcast, and if it helps some people, praise God,
Yeah.
So I know there's probably a lot deeper things that I can or should share to my younger self, but some of that probably is just freedom too, right? Of stop working to like, you don't have to read your Bible to write down 7, scriptures so that you can preach it, so that people will, so that you can, and it's just like, you can just, same thing, just be, just slow down and rest in it, like enjoy those things. Yeah, and I guess one other thing I would say is I was really, you knew me, I was stupid. Like I was stupid until now, yes. And I think one thing I would, you kind of look and go, if I could go back and tell myself, like, here's how you skip it all, here's how you get there. I think I would tell myself, like, hey, you have to go through it.
Yeah, go all the way.
You just have, I'm sorry, there's no way to skip it. You need to go through it to understand this. We had to lose friends to process that. We had to, go to counseling to hear some of these things. And we had to have a struggle to go to counseling for. And we had, and so just telling myself, like, don't try to skip to the end. Just be in it. And I think in that, then you get to experience some of the, like here and now, waking up to it. It's been there ready for you.
So good. See, this is why I want to talk to you guys, man. This is awesome.
This is really
you guys,
fun.
What do I want to say? You guys carry honesty and hope. For me, like, just obviously listening to your podcast and now, like, getting to connect with you guys again, you guys carry honesty and hope in a way that's kind of contagious.
That's so nice.
Possible ways. Yeah. I mean, just like, you guys have been through the ringer, and there's not really like there's no sense to me of the son of a, like there's no bitterness behind anything that you're saying, which is just, I think, a gift to me, and also I think to everybody that you guys come into contact with. But it's been awesome.
Well, same. I think we're really excited about this because I think these things are so vital right now in the Christian community, like vital for these discussions, and then in the non-Christian community too, just for humans. And you kind of just said it casually earlier, but like, this is who you naturally are. People just want to talk to you, and you make it easy for people to talk to, and you have a good you have a depth of knowledge that I think people would be astounded by, but you don't shove that in people's faces. It's so genuine. And so I think we're really excited about this, and I hope it does really reach as many people as possible.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys being. We'll have you back. I think now you have to be like the kind of like the go-to guest.
We would love that. I hope you did okay.
You did fantastic.
It's a little hard for me to be interviewed. I'm not gonna lie; it's uncomfortable.
Great. Oh. Yeah, well, I think this is. I couldn't have asked for a better first interview.
Oh, how nice!
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate it. All right, well, that's the episode. Thanks, guys.
Thanks
see you guys
for
next
having
time.
us.
Thanks, buddy.